Hello brothers and sisters, here to a special tutorial today in the Warhammer 40k and Unreal 5.5 universe. As you might have noticed that Unreal Engine 5.5 has been released on the Seattle Unreal Fest, and they come with quite a lot of great changes, additions and performance accelerations. So you can find a lot of Unreal Engine 5.5 on the internet, and I want to show you something that caught the attention of a lot of people, which is called the Megalight plugin, which helps you to enhance your lighting scenes in the Unreal Engine 5.5 world. So first of all, you need to make sure that you have Unreal Engine 5.5 preview installed inside of your Unreal Engine environment. And when you gonna start everything from scratch with a scene you maybe have in 5.4 or 5.3, make sure that you make a copy of your installation from the scene file, and then you can add everything inside of the Unreal Engine 5.5 environment. So I'm using a Emperor Church from the Warhammer 40k universe accordingly to our Holy Emperor to showcase the Megalight features, and you can see that the scene here has a lot of great light elements like volume lights from above from our great church here, and we have candles blowing in the slightly wind of our ambient and calm temple church here. So to activate the Megalights, you can have two choices. You can go to the Edit Project Settings and enter Mega, and then you can activate here Megalights, which goes right to the whole scene of your Unreal project. Or you can add a more intelligent way, which is the environment post volume, the post-process volume. And I have already a post-process volume here inside of my scene. You can add it easily with the add button. Type post-process volume, and you need to make sure that your unbounding is set up, so everything goes infinite in your scene when doing changes to the post-process volume. So we then can go to the Mega Lights and activate everything, and you can see that my lights here, especially the candles in the wind, make a tremendous impact on the light distribution and in the light quality. As you can see here, it's now more accurate than without using the Megalight. So you can see how pixelated everything still is, and with the Megalight selected we get a much more cleaner and better light distribution in our scene. So the lights themselves can also use and activate the Megalight feature. So especially here we can see how our light is changing tremendously the look of our scene. And we go back to the post-process volume, and you can see how also our statue here in the back gets decent illumination from the Holy Spirit of our Megalights. Something that is definitely a game changer once it's production ready for games and for the future of the games. As I think that a lot of Unreal projects will rely on this Megalight feature, and it's something that Epic Games is aiming for a lot of upcoming games in the future, and also they aiming for mobile devices like phones and tablets and stuff like that, so that you can play this feature on your mobile devices. So another great thing I tried to turn out and find out was the Nanite connection with Path Tracer. I don't know if you remember my previous tutorial from the Nanite world where I tried to render Nanite displacement with the Path Tracer. So here inside you can see when you go to the Quixel bridge. So brothers and sisters, as you might know, in the assets of the Quixel world, you have the possibility to download Nanite material, and this is when you go to your desired model, and here you can see in the quality section you can change it from high quality to Nanite, and this is what I did. But before you can use the full displacement Nanite functionality, you need to make sure that you go also in the plugin section, enter Nanite, and activate the Nanite displaced mesh. So once you've done that and you've downloaded your textures, which you can see here, you pretty much need to do several further steps, and this is like when you make a new material, call it whatever you want, you pull in your textures. We have here the albedo map, which goes in the base color. We have our normal map, which goes into the normal of our material. And we have our displacement map, which is pretty much split in 3 different channels: red, green and blue, which you might know makes the white color, the visible color. And you pipe in the red channel into your roughness, the green channel in the ambient occlusion, and now here is the big tip, the blue channel in the displacement. So when displacement is not activated in your material, you need to make sure that you click on the material, enter tessellation, and enable the tessellation here, and you see how our displacement gets grayed out. This is a very interesting fact you need to know when you work with Nanite and displacement maps. So enable it, apply everything, and then you can see when we go here to our holy column, our relic of the Emperor world from the Warhammer 40k universe, you can see that we pretty much get a displacement happening on the environment of our texture there. Oh, let me lighten up the environment light. And you can see how everything is here pretty strong displaced. And you can change the displacement value. When you go here to the material, enter displacement, you have here a magnitude, and I found out that a very good amount is 0.1. So you apply it and you can see how it's switching the normals of the geometry back to that 0.1 value, and you can see that we get a tremendous amount of detail now with our Nanite material we just created. Now the big question that is opening up in the head of the Warhammer 40k soldier is how can you render this with Path Tracer to impress the Emperor and make yourself aware and safe in the world of the warp. Just kidding. You pretty much go here to the column. You can see here that the material is also there. And you have to enter a command line, which is Ray Tracing Nanite Mode 1. With the Nanite Mode 1 enabled, you get a more accurate rendering in path tracing for the fallback geometry. So what is the fallback geometry? That is something where you have the normal mesh of your object, and when you enter the fallback mesh, in contrast to the displaced mesh, it will always rely on the fallback mesh and fall back to this normal mesh without displacement. Now you can change this here in the settings in your nanite support of your object. And you do that with the fallback target. I made a percentage of triangles, and you can see here that the detail is still there. And when activated, ray tracing in your scene, like so, you enter here ray tracing, support hardware ray tracing. I would not recommend using the ray traced shadows, because when you hit this button, something like this happens. The whole scene gets overcast and very bright, and the shadows also flicker around. So I found out that this is something you don't really want to use. So turn off ray traced shadows. And once you've done that, you can go back to your object and you can use Path Tracer, which is something like a ray tracing render engine inside of Unreal Engine, where you can, like other engines in the renderer world, can be used to render directly inside of Unreal Engine, like V-Ray, like Arnold, like Redshift, like other renderers like RenderMan or whatever it is. So you can see when I go to path tracing now that it preserves the quality of our displaced mesh, and this is something very huge because you can see here all the tiny details in the path tracing, not only in the game engine but also in the path tracing engine. So you can see here our symbols, and I switch to path tracing now. You can see how it's preserving all those edges here, and we don't have this ugly fallback too strong anymore. So this is something I guess is working. I'm not 100% sure, but they made major progress, which is very, very, very great, and which makes a lot of people in the game world happy. So let's see here again. Yeah, we also have those mushroom structures on top of the acid. You can see here that you get a very cool amount of detail. So back to the scene here, I want to show you that the Megalight seems not to work with the path tracing actually. So what I'm gonna do is going to the environment lighter, setting this to 5. Now you can see how we get here those awesome volume lights in the Temple of the Emperor. And now let's check here a decent view. So, and let's do a path tracing. And as I mentioned, with the post-process volume, you can adjust the path tracer settings. Also, when you enter your path, you can add the max bounces. Let's do something like 64. Samples you can adjust, make it a bit higher, like 496. And path intensity, let's do 48. Of course, we have a decent Emperor machine, which splits through the warp to the Tyranids, to another universe. Just kidding. And you can see here that I have emissive material. The reference of depth of field is also very important to make atmosphere and depth of field available in the path tracer. So this makes also a decent amount of detail when you use fog or volumes or exponential height fog or whatever. So let's render this and have a look how this is looking with the path tracer, and then you can decide yourself what you're gonna do with the Unreal Engine 5.5 preview release on the way out of the Uncanny Valley. And you can see the rendering is almost done. The home of our great and holy Emperor is rendered in a few seconds. And this is what makes Unreal Engine so powerful, that you can use it for so many different aspects like VFX, game design, and real-time applications. So this release of Unreal Engine 5.5 is definitely a game changer when it comes to the production value and the production ready environment. So stay tuned for more tutorials to come on the channel, and thanks everybody for the time. And if you have questions, enter them in the comments, give us a like. And for everybody who's new on the channel and enjoyed everything, please subscribe. There will be more great content in the future, so definitely stay tuned and check out what we are cooking. And here you can see our fabulous image from the Emperor home from the Warhammer 40k style tutorial I made today for you for the Unreal Engine 5.5 Megalights and Nanite implementation. So I hope you learned something, and as I said, if you like, hit the subscribe and make your own versions of the worlds you want to create from your imagination, from your vision, ideas, whatever. Unreal Engine will help you putting this into the reality. So see you soon.